Hey guys, Mitch Nelson, real estate investor here. Just wanted to share a couple thoughts with you guys today. So I wanted to share how real estate investing is an ideal investment. Now when I say ideal, what I'm referring to is the acronym I.D.E.A.L. So I in the I.D.E.A.L acronym stands for income. Real estate, if you compare real estate to other investment categories, real estate is one of the only and one of the most solid ways when it comes to investing to create passive income for yourself. Now, while some stocks may pay dividends, some businesses may be able to run passively. Rentals has been proven time and time again to be a fantastic source of passive income for investors. Now, the D in I.D.E.A.L stands for deductions. Now, one of the coolest things about real estate is that it's a tax write-off. You know, the government created the tax law and the tax code to be an incentive program. You know, obviously those who are consumers, those who consume housing, who consume jobs, who consume from the economy are going to pay the most in taxes. While those who create the jobs, those who create the housing, those people are the ones who are going to be receiving the incentive side of the tax code in the form of deductions. Now, real estate has the most broad of any investment category. Real estate has the most broad amount of deductions. Take, for example, let's say that your parents or maybe your in-laws live out of state and you go visit them often. Maybe you go see them once a month. Well, that's an expense. Now, simply as a trip to go see your in-laws, that expense is taxable, which means you'll have to pay for that trip with after-tax income. However, if you were to turn that trip into a business trip, let's say that you have a rental that you purchased near that family member's house, maybe on the same street or just around the corner. And the purpose of your trip is actually to go check on the rental. Well, then you can write off the cost of the trip minus the miles on the time that you spend with the family. So the fact that you're flying out there or you're driving out there to see this rental, you can write off all those miles, and then just driving around the corner and maybe the meal that you eat with your family is the only thing that you have to pay tax on that trip. But you can write off a lot of those expenses by creating business and creating real estate opportunities in the places you go. Now, that's just one small example of deductions. There's not enough time on this video to get into all of the aspects of how you can deduct real estate deduct expenses on your taxes using real estate, but there are many ways. So the E in I.D.E.A.L stands for equity. Now, equity, there's the real estate definition of equity is the difference between the value of a property and what you owe on a property. Now, the cool thing about real estate is because a lot of times we have loans on our real estate, as we pay those loans down, we're widening that gap between what the property's worth and what we owe on it. So as we pay our payment on the real estate, we're actually building equity, which is essentially a savings account. You've heard me say multiple times that the wealthy are business owners and real estate investors. Now, part of the reason for that is because of this little equity trick that I'm talking about right now. The wealthy take their cash and they put it into real estate, and that equity becomes their savings account, and it will yield them more than the 0.2% or 0.5% that a savings account at a bank would ever yield. And that's one of the main reasons that the wealthy use real estate is as a savings account and to build that equity. Now, the A in I.D.E.A.L stands for appreciation. Now, this is an area where there's a lot of crossover into other investing categories, for example, stocks and gold, as well as real estate. Appreciation is the technique where you buy low and sell high. overall the market will increase over time. It's shown that historically. While we may have short-term ups and downs, in the long term, the real estate market will always increase, has always increased, and therefore we have a trend to say that it most likely will continue to increase. Now, that increase in value is appreciation. So let's say you buy a property at $100,000 and you hold on to it for 15 years, and in 15 years it's worth $200,000. Well, that process of just simply by you owning that property and the market dictating that house when you bought it, or that property when you bought it, was worth $100,000, and 15 years later it's worth $200,000, that is the process of appreciation. Now, what I've just described is natural appreciation. As a fix and flipper, I'm also familiar with the concept of forced appreciation. Now, forced appreciation is when you go in and you improve the property so that it actually becomes worth more money. Fix and flips are a great example of that. We'll go in, we'll buy a distressed property at a discount, we'll fix it up and make it the nicest property in the neighborhood, and then we'll sell it at a premium. So that's a forced appreciation. Now, the last letter in the I.D.E.A.L acronym, the reason why real estate is the ideal investment, and this is my favorite, L stands for leverage. Now, leverage means that you can take real estate that you own and say, hey, bank, I want to leverage this property that I own to buy that property over there. In fact, even one better, you can say, bank, I want to buy that property over there. I'm going to leverage that property in order to buy it. And they will give you a loan on the property that you want so that you can own that property. Pretty cool. Now, that's something that you just simply don't get that in other investment categories. You can't go to the bank and say, hey, I got a hot stock tip. Would you mind lending me 10 grand on this stock tip? You're not going to get that. Nor will you get, hey, I want to buy gold. Can I get 10 grand to buy gold? You're just not going to see a bank have much desire to lend on something like that. Now, guys, that's why I think real estate is the ideal investment. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and watch for future videos talking about real estate investing.